Avoid over reliance on AI. So while AI can enhance efficiency, it should not replace the essential human element in counseling. Maintaining a balanced approach and ensuring that the therapeutic relationship remains central. So this is what we talk about a lot. You could get recommendations from AI, but remember, your clinical judgment is way more important. So just because AI says you should approach something a certain way doesn't mean you have to go with that. You have to use your clinical judgment and training to make decisions around it. Hi, I'm Kim Tolson, and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Going in-network with insurance can be tough. For example, waiting a year to get credentialed in some cases. Filing all the right paperwork is time-consuming and tedious, and even after you're done, it can take months to get credentialed and start seeing clients. That's why Alma makes it easy and financially rewarding to accept insurance. When you join the insurance program, you can get credentialed within 45 days and access to enhanced reimbursement rates. They also handle all the paperwork from eligibility checks to claim submissions, and they guarantee payment within 2 weeks of each appointment. Once you've joined Alma's insurance program, you can see clients in your state of licensure regardless of where you're working from. This is particularly exciting for me as a traveling therapist, as I know it is probably for you too. You can literally be anywhere and still see your clients through Alma. Learn more about building a thriving private practice with Alma at helloalma.com/Kim. That's helloalma.com/KYM to get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Run Your Private Practice with AI. So today I have an interesting topic to talk about. Two things really. First, I met with Maria, I can never say her last name, but Maria, the CEO and co-founder of Mentalic, which is an AI-powered progress notes writing company. They're HIPAA compliant. I've been sort of searching for another company that I can sort of partner with and talk with about these HIPAA compliant notes and all the advancements that they're making in the HIPAA compliant space for progress notes and everything we do as therapists. So that was a super interesting conversation. I interviewed her for my other podcast called the Traveling Therapist Podcast. And I believe it's going to come out in about 2 weeks. And I might share it here too. We'll see, or maybe do a different episode here because it's a little different than the topic over there. That was pretty cool. And they also gave me a coupon for 10% off for any of my listeners. So I think I'll ask if I can put a coupon over here too for you all to use if you want to. So that's Mentalic. You've probably seen their ads around about AI powered progress notes. And then I'm going to be participating in a webinar coming up with Mary Henson, Mary Henson is hosting. She's the LCCN Professional Development Chair for basically North Carolina's LCP, basically North Carolina's LPC. Okay, so I have an interesting webinar coming up that I was asked to participate in and be a panelist on. So it's hosted by the LCCNC, the Licensed Clinical Counselors in North Carolina.org. And they work to advance the clinical mental health counseling profession by advocacy and professional excellence. So I was really honored to ask to do this, but the topic she asked me to address is AI and therapy, and to start talking about it amongst LPCs in North Carolina to get the conversation started, to answer questions, to give direction, talk about ethics and that sort of thing. And then my fellow panelist is, I'm probably going to mess up this name because I'm so bad with names. She is a professor at William & Mary. Her name is Olivia Umaro. Uamaro. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And she's a member of the American Counseling Association Artificial Intelligence Work Group. So, this webinar we're doing together is really going to aim to not only survey the landscape for what's possible with AI in counseling, but also delve deeper into the practical, ethical considerations for being effective and responsible with your AI integration. So, I thought I would do this episode and just talk a little bit about what I'm already discovering just with some materials that Olivia had shared with myself and Mary in preparation for the webinar, and I found it super interesting. We all know that eventually our boards are going to start coming up with ethical guidelines and even regulations around how we use AI. It's so new right now. Nothing has come out about this. And even when I was talking to Maria from Metallic today, she said that they are actually serving as guidance for our ethical boards in the United States right now. So this is a huge undertaking to figure out how we can use AI and how they're going to regulate us using AI in our private practices through our licensing boards. So I just wanted to talk about some of the research and recommendations that their development group, the ACA AI recommendations, that this work group has put together based on a lot of research they've been doing. And they've come out with sort of some guidelines or recommendations for practicing counselors in their use of AI. So I thought maybe it'd be super helpful to tell you guys what the ethics boards are looking at right now. And I'm sure something like this work group is going to be what's guiding our ethical standards. I'll put the links down below. These are public links, public information you can go look at for yourself if you want to check it out. In this recommendation, they're first saying that counselors are required to practice within their boundaries of competence. To prepare for work with AI, counselors should learn about AI through 3 levels of understanding. So the essentials, including the algorithms and how AI works in your daily life, such as social media, that sort of thing. Number 2 is AI subfields. So machine learning, neural networks, natural language processing, computer vision, and robotics. For example, counselors can learn about large language models and their use in machine learning. So LLMs are used in generative AI. And I've never had an episode on this before because it's kind of getting into the weeds, but knowing that these models basically focus on an aggregate of information they're getting fed from the world, basically. For example, OpenAI, at first, I think it was only trained up to, I think it was September 2022, and now April 2023, I think is the latest update on the information it's been updated on. It now has web-based browsing capabilities too. So, it can get a lot more up-to-date information than when it first came out, like a year or two ago when we really started first seeing ChatGPT on the scene. And a lot of them were like that. So it's saying being aware of that. And then 3, being aware of the applications. Research suggests that AI is currently applied to mental health in 3 main ways: personal sensing or digital phenotyping, which is something I was talking to Maria about too in the episode. This predictive analysis. So it gets information and then it can predict outcomes. It can give you suggestions on outcomes. And there's a lot more to that, but just kind of touching on the surface here. And then natural language processing, and 3rd, through chatbots. So that's a whole nother episode I want to do, like on chatbots, and should they be HIPAA compliant and all that. So I want to go through the recommendations that Olivia and her team have come up with and published for LPCCs or for LPCs. And also this is relevant for LCSWs or anybody that's licensed in this field to pay attention to. I think it's really poignant. It makes sense to me. It's not overly regulating, but it's just key points that we should all be thinking about when we're using AI in our private practices. So first recommendation, stay open, informed, and educated. So it's saying that technology advances can improve your professional practice efficiencies. With using AI can reduce the administrative burden on practitioners, but are not automatically unethical. They're saying evaluate technologies critically before incorporating them for your practice. And Metallic and I were just talking about this too. She says if something says it's HIPAA compliant, make sure you're double checking that, because if it says anything about not entering any PHI, it's probably not totally secure. So you can't always go on that guarantee that something's HIPAA compliant. And then another recommendation, avoid over reliance on AI. So while AI can enhance efficiency, it should not replace the essential human element in counseling, maintaining a balanced approach and ensuring that the therapeutic relationship remains central. So this is what we talk about a lot. You could get recommendations from AI, but remember, your clinical judgment is way more important. So just because AI says you should approach something a certain way doesn't mean you have to go with that. You have to use your clinical judgment and training to make decisions around it. Next recommendation, recognize that AI may contain bias and be capable of discrimination.
Managing a successful private practice can be challenging, even if you have all the skills and experience you need to support clients. Most training programs offer little to no guidance on running your own business. That's why Alma gives clinicians the tools they need to build a thriving private practice. When you join Alma, you can get credentialed with major insurance payers within 45 days, as well as guaranteed payment within 2 weeks of each session. You can also attract clients who are the right fit for your practice with a free profile in Alma's searchable directory. As you build your caseload, Alma also offers time-saving tools and administrative support, so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time delivering great care to your clients. Visit helloalma.com/Kim to download your free guide to identifying and connecting with clients who are the right fit for your practice. That's helloalma.com/KYM to get your guide.
So, it's only as good as the information that's put into it to train it. So if it's pulling from sources that might be biased or discriminatory in some way, it's probably going to reflect that in its language to you and the way it's interacting with you. So always keeping that lens, cultural awareness. So always keeping that lens of awareness around bias. And so always keeping that lens of awareness around certain biases or discrimination type things that AI might say to you. It's possible that it could include certain groups and exclude other groups, just like because it's a robot, right? So being aware of that. Another recommendation, career counselors and those who address employment issues should stay informed about how automation is shaping the world of work. So this recommendation is basically talking about the future of the job market is up in the air. We don't know. AI is replacing people's jobs. So if you're in career counseling or that sort of thing, they're saying just have an awareness that, you might be helping somebody work towards a career that's going to be obsolete in, 2 years or something. So you really want to take that into account, like the ever-changing technology and how the whole landscape is changing if you're in that capacity or you specialize in that type of niche. Another recommendation, advocate for transparency in AI algorithms. So super interesting. Okay, another recommendation is advocate for transparency in the AI algorithms. So advocating, joining work groups, reading policies and procedures, reading terms of service, making sure that you're really doing your due diligence and making sure that you know how these algorithms are working, not just taking for granted that, oh, okay, it's not sharing this information with anybody else. Making sure you have the proper privacy settings on and all of that, depending on what type of AI that you're working with, making sure you have a BAA. Making sure if it says HIPAA compliant, again, that you're checking to make sure it is actually HIPAA compliant and they're not telling you to leave out PHI. So those are some very helpful recommendations there. Another recommendation, maintain transparency and informed consent with your clients. That's a no-brainer. I've talked about that in a couple of these episodes. And in the Clinical AI Club, I did create an informed consent that you can use if you're using AI in your practice, and also a script that you can use to talk to your clients about AI and that you're using it and what capacity you're using it in. They have a right to know if you're using AI to help treat them. So you have to make sure that you're doing that with your clients. Another recommendation, leveraging AI for data-driven insights. So as a clinician using these AI data-driven insights, meaning through chatbots or automated AI programs that are assessing through measurement scales, that sort of thing, and then making recommendations from the measurement scales, you just want to make sure, one, they're functioning properly. Two, they're using the right measures for the client that you're trying to assess. Three, you're using the aggregated client data to inform your evidence-based decisions that you're making in your practice. The next recommendation, ensure data security and privacy. We've already talked about that. Super important to, make sure it's HIPAA compliant if you're entering PHI. The next recommendation is counselors should empower clients to communicate their use of AI. So empowering clients to know that there are lots of tools out there that can help with mental health. There's symptom trackers, there's AI chatbots that help when you're in a pinch between your therapist appointments. There's all kinds of tools like that. So making your clients aware that there's tools like that and it's okay to talk about them and even incorporate them into your practice is a super fantastic recommendation that they've made here. Let's see. The next one, counselors must understand the limitations of AI diagnosis and assessment in all counseling settings. And we've talked about this in the Clinical AI Club. I mean, you definitely could put a client profile into ChatGPT and say, what do you think the diagnosis is? I've done it. I've tried it. It's pretty accurate. But this is just saying, you have to be sure that you're using your clinical judgment and making decisions, not, just like quickly putting some stuff in and whatever it says, you just go ahead and grab that and you're using that as a diagnosis. You need to go look at the diagnosis, make sure it actually fits for the client. Because AI is great, but it'll make odd suggestions sometimes. Sometimes it'll add extra information in that you didn't tell it. It'll make assumptions about cases. It's really interesting how that happens. But so this is a great recommendation. And then their last recommendation is consider conducting research on the intersection of AI and counseling. And they're suggesting with that, future research should also focus on the ethics of using AI and extending our understanding of the impacts of advanced technologies, including AI, on diverse populations. And they're basically doing a call to action. So if you're using AI, if you're an advocate of AI, make sure that you're researching, you're participating in research and helping this advancement of understanding of how the pros and the cons interact with this world that we're working in. So I hope you find that helpful. The webinar is going to be super interesting. I think it's only available to North Carolina counselors, but I could double check on that. Regardless, I wanted to tell you that there is and are work groups around the country trying to figure out the ethics of this and how to use it. So, check in with your board, ask if they're doing anything like this. If there's any work groups. If you'd like to be involved in that sort of thing, you could give it a try and see. You could participate. Advocate. If you love AI, if you hate AI, you can be a voice that helps really form the next generation of therapy in our world, in our private practices, the way we interact with our clients. It's important to get involved if you have the time and energy. I know a lot of us don't, but that's always an option. See if your particular licensing board is working on anything locally or even nationally. Okay, so I hope you found this I hope you found this episode helpful. If you have any questions or thoughts, I always love when you all reach out to me with information or even concerns or opinions about AI in your private practice, or even ways that you're utilizing AI in your private practice. I'd love to start having some guests on that are already using AI or found a super cool hack or just something that they'd like to share with the audience for a quick 15-minute episode. So if that's you and you're listening, please email me at info@kimtolson.com, info@kymtolson.com. And if you haven't joined the Clinical AI Club yet, come join us, www.clinicalaiclub.com. Come join. Every month we have a 90-minute live implementation session where we're all working together, putting our brains together, trying to figure out the best ways to use AI in our private practice. Each month I give you 30 to 40 prompts to help you on a particular topic. This month was paperwork and getting all the paperwork ready for your client charts in private practice. From a AI lawyer perspective, January was all about progress notes, and I think March is either going to be marketing or building a group program within your private practice to scale up, make more money, and see less clients over time. So that's what's going on in the AI Club. I hope you'll come join us if you haven't yet. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist Podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you love this episode, please leave a review.